Hi friends, welcome back to our tutorials. We are continuing with our Angular 9 full tutorial series, and in today's episode we are going to learn about reactive forms in Angular. What are reactive forms? How are they different from template driven forms? How do we implement them? We'll do some hands-on examples. So at the end of this tutorial, you will be able to design, develop reactive forms in your Angular applications. Welcome back. My name is Sridhar. I bring over 10 years of experience as a full stack developer, and I'm here to share my knowledge on modern web technologies. I'm also here to learn from you all. So during the course of this tutorial series, if you have any doubts, any queries on the code samples or explanations that we discuss, please feel free to ask me in the comment section below. I will be happy to help you for free. I'm putting in a lot of hard work in bringing these tutorials to you. So I will really appreciate if you can like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you in advance. A lot of you have requested me to create an Angular 9 full tutorial playlist, which I have created and shared it in the description box below. There are around 43 plus tutorials covering from basic introduction to the advanced concepts. So if you really want to learn Angular and master Angular 9, this is that playlist for you. Please do watch it out. All right, so in this particular continuation of the series that we are learning, we are focusing on Angular forms. In the past episodes, we have seen how to install Bootstrap, what are forms in Angular, what are template-driven forms. We have seen some examples, we added validations. Today we are starting with reactive forms, or also known as dynamic forms. So using reactive forms in Angular will give something similar experience to the user as template-driven forms. So for the end user, it only means that he will see a form. The what's different is how we implement it, how we design it, and how we handle the data. Using the reactive forms means that we define the form elements, the user interactions, and the validations in the component class. Unlike template-driven forms, which is always where most of the code was written in your template file. In reactive forms, the most of the logic, the user interactions, the form elements, all of it goes into the component class, which is your class file. For that, to use reactive forms, we have to use Angular's built-in um, features like form group and form control modules. Once we start using reactive forms, you will see that there is a better way of doing data binding. There is better way of implementing complex forms. These complex forms involve uh, usually will involve complex regular expression patterns, will have custom needs, will have dynamically able to add some elements, remove some elements, build that array form array dynamically. So it gives you much more better handle at creating forms, implementing them, and processing the data. To work with reactive forms, we have to use a module called Reactive Forms module. That's the very important step. When we don't do it, we will see errors in our console. Angular always maintains the state information of your form. For example, if the form was valid, it was invalid, it was pristine, dirty, etc. Using this form state, right, we can do a lot of things like validation, handle better user experience in terms of showing messages, etc. We will learn all about that in today's episode. We are going to do some hands-on examples to make you comfortable with reactive forms. So how do we do it? So we will learn reactive forms in 5 simple and easy steps. So I have broken it down into 5 steps because it's much easy for you to understand, to implement. However, for a beginner, it may look complex, right? But it's absolutely simple. It's easy if you follow these 5 simple steps. So let's get started. What is step number 1? The first step of using reactive forms in our application is to import the reactive forms module. we need to import it in our app module in order to work with reactive forms. Now, if we do not import this, we will see errors in our console, right? So the second step is to create the form itself, right? So you can take any form, it can be any form. It can be login, register, checkout, order, cart, etc. Important thing to note in that form are whenever we do a form, we will have to use form group, and we also have to use form control name for each of the form fields. Those are the two important steps to remember when we do the form. So before we discuss step 3, 4, and 5, I would say let's start with hands-on, and the best way to learn is to code with me. So start coding with me. If you have any issues, please do let me know in the comment section. I will be happy to help you. Let's get started with our application and build some reactive forms. All right, so let me close it here. Okay, so for the purpose of this particular tutorial learning reactive forms, let's build a generate a component and call it checkout. So I'm trying to build a checkout form where I will process some fields, some data, and then we should be able to see that form working in our application. So we generated a component. Let's generate that. All right, so we have our component which is created. It has also updated the app module. We can see it here. We have our component which is ready. So first thing we'll do is we will add into a routing and add a path for it. And I'm going to say whenever the path is checkout component, it's imported here, and I have mapped the component. Let's start the application. So now when we go to checkout route, we should see the default message which says checkout works, right? So it says checkout works. So that is what we should see. Let's see that in action. Okay, so if I say enter, okay, so it says checkout works, right? That means our basic route is working. Our basic route is working and we are able to see the default output. Now the first step we discussed is to import and add the reactive forms module in app module. So let's do that. Go to your app module, and here let's import Angular forms, and we will write reactive forms module. So we are now importing and copy the module name, and we need to add it in the array of imports. So first step is completed, right? So what we have done here, we have imported the reactive forms module and added them to the imports array. So here we have reactive forms module step 1 completed. Now let's go to step 2, which is to create the form in app.component.html, which means again there is no restriction as to which component you want to work. We are working with checkout.html, so I will put my form here. If you are working with any other form, you can put it in that HTML. So now let's take that example. So I see there is this simple form in getbootstrap.com documentation. I will copy it right here and let's put it in the component class. So now we should see our form, right? Let's beautify a little bit by adding class container. That way we are wrapping it up in a container that will give it a good look. Now you see it will be organized, right? And let's throw in a form title and we should be good to go. So we'll say checkout form using reactive forms. right? So far so good. Let's give a class and say padding bottom 2. Okay, so now we have our form, we have the checkout form, and then we have some input type equal to text. This is email. We have some radio buttons, we have a checkbox, right? And let's call this as checkout. All right, so far so good. We have done our basic form. Now remember, I told you that to work with the step number 2 is to create the form and assign the form group and form control name, right? So how do we do that? To the form, you will give bind the attribute directive, which is form group equal to, give it a name. This name is important. So you are doing a form group and assigning it a name, right? You'll see some error. Don't worry, we'll fix it. So we got the form group, we have given it a name. Now go to our component class. That is step number 3. Step number 3 is to um, import it in the component class and map these details. So what we will do here is we'll import Angular forms and we will import form group, form control, form array. We don't need it. We'll need form builder now. Okay, so we have got these three, right? And first thing you have to do is give the same name as that of what you have given in the template. Here you have given checkout form, same name you will use here and define it as this is a form group, right? So now you see the error is gone. This is step 3, right? Give same form group name as in the template, right? Just while we are at it, I'll just quickly add form control name, right? So we'll give form control name, right? And we'll give the name what we want to capture here. So I will say email address, copy it. Instead of password, let's just call it quantity, right? And here we'll say type equal to text. And here we are going to give a form control name and I'm going to call it quantity. And so for the sake of simplicity, I'm just removing few, so that way we'll just keep it the form simple for your learning. So for this input, I'll give a name here and I'll say form control name equal to terms, right? And here we'll say, all right, so this is our form. We have email address, we have quantity, we agree to terms, right? So, all right, so we have the email address, we have the quantity, and then we have the terms, and we'll check out. So we have given the form group name, that's step number 2. We have given form control name. So once we have it, we have our step number 2 complete. Step number 3 is to import the form group builder and form control, and then create that form name, right? Once we have done it, the step number 4 is to inject the form builder in the constructor. So what we will do is in the constructor, we'll create instance of form builder. So form builder is nothing but it will help us build the form, right? And with the same details. So here I'm going to say, now here I'm defining my controls, right? Now control is nothing but the name that you have given in the checkout component. So email address, I'm saying the email address, right, is what? It's a So here we are trying to tell that it's a new control, right? So we will say new form control. That's it, right? So here you're specifying that it's a new form, right? So what we will also mention is all the other controls that we have used. The other one is quantity, and the other thing is terms, right? And then we have to close our constructor. Oh, sorry. So this is the, okay. So it says some error. Okay, so here, okay, expression is unused expression. Okay, we'll fix that. We'll fix that. Okay, so now first thing what we need to do once we have done it is here we will do that this is a form. We did not specify that. That's why there is this error. So what I'll do is first you'll say form name, right? So you'll say this dot checkout form equal to form builder dot group, and you will specify the group name here, and you will say, right, so this I will close the constructor and expected comma. Okay, so here we are specifying just the name. Let's do that quickly. uh, Form builder dot group, and we are telling we are trying to build a group, right? And it's an array, so we will put it in this. Okay, and end up with a semicolon, and then we'll remove this here. We don't need this. All right, so now our form group is ready. Let me format it a little bit, and we are good, right? So let's go through this now. So here we are building the form using form builder. In the form builder, we are creating a group of form elements, right? These should be exactly same as your form. We can also have it dynamic, right? We will learn this next coming tutorials. So don't worry about it. So these are some of the notes that you should know, which is using this dot form checkout name, which is our form group. We are creating form group using form builder, and then we'll write email address is a form control, quantity is a form control, terms is a form control, right? These three are same as that as of our form. So if you see here, form control name, form control name, form control name, right? So whatever name you give here, make sure you copy the same, right? Now let's go to our form, open console, and let's start filling some values. And here I'll say 4. I'll agree to terms. Now click checkout. Nothing will happen because we have not captured it. So what we will do, we will write post data. If you remember, in the template form we are passing the form itself, right? So we don't want to do it, right? We are not passing anything here because it's dynamic. Let's implement this method now. I will just say console.log this dot checkout form, right? So now you would see that whenever we hit submit, it will capture the entire form. Let's see that in action. Tutorials@gmail.com. These 4 agree to terms. Now I'm hitting checkout. It will console log the entire form group. You see this? So it has given me the entire form details that I want to capture via controls. So now under controls, if you see, we have email address, we have quantity, we have terms. Now expand that and you would see its status of this particular form control, which is what we have defined here, right? Similarly for quantity, if you open, you would see it's a form control. These are all the details. Now that is this form control. So this is how you can capture any form using reactive forms, right? This is a simple example to get you started. We will do much more complex pieces on this by making it dynamic. We will add something, we'll remove some from the array. It's so much fun to work with reactive forms. We will see all of that in detail. Okay. Now, if you want to get a value of a certain field, we can say this dot checkout dot. So here we have different options. Like if you want to get the value of the entire form, we can say this dot checkout dot value. Now see, we are giving some value. Now we click checkout. It is giving me all the form values. These are all the values which user entered, right? Now, if I want a certain detail, I don't want to print the entire form value. I don't want to print the entire form value. I just want to print value of, I'll say email address, right? This is entire form value, right? So this is entire form. This is the form group object, right? Now you would see that now form dot value, right? Now here I will say form dot checkout dot. Now what is it that I'm trying to get, right? So if I enter here, you see the object again, and how do we get the details? So once you do that, you have the form object. So let's make it a form literal. I'm using the literal template to print the form. This is not single quote, it's tilde. So make sure you do it correctly. Okay. Now let's see that one more time. I have the details captured. We enter some value, we clear here and click out. So it gives the object, right? So now if you want to read that particular object, and let's do it one more time. Sorry about that. Now we'll read through the form instance. So I have the form instance. I can say dot value dot email address, right? So if I say dot value dot email address, I should see only the email address value printed. Now I got it here. Now you see, right? test@test.com. So that is how we can extract the value from the entire form or individual form elements, right? So that completes our step number 5. In the next episode, I'm going to extend this particular form by adding form validations in reactive forms. I hope you're enjoying this video. I hope you're liking my work. Please give a thumbs up to the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to watch the next episode where I'm going to cover about adding form validations into reactive forms. Thank you so much for joining. See you in the next episode.